Although Stephen Hawking died an atheist so far as I'm aware, he had the insight to state that a point of creation would be a place where science broke down. One would have to appeal to religion and the hand of God. However, the well-known atheist Lawrence Krauss has led quite a few people to believe that the universe could have been caused by nothing at all. Is that possible? Hi, I'm Kirk, and I'm a scientist and a philosopher and a person who spends a lot of time thinking about the why questions in life. So if you're interested in discussions pertaining to God, science, and life, then please subscribe to my channel here, where I'll be posting on a regular basis. You can also subscribe to my social media accounts, and the links are below. I was relaxing one evening when the quietness of the house was destroyed by the sound of a thunderous crash upstairs. Leaping to my feet, I yelled, "What was that?" "Nothing," was the reply that floated down the stairwell from a person not yet old enough to realize that there are few adults, indeed, who would find such an explanation convincing. Strangely, though, using nothing as an explanation has recently been suggested for something much more impressive than a thundering roar on the second floor. I refer to the origin of the entire universe, the biggest crash of all, as it were. During the course of the 20th century, scientists discovered something that poses a serious philosophical problem for atheism. Cosmologists observed that the entire universe is expanding. The consensus, working backward in time, is that it had a beginning, which of course raises the question, what caused that? In an effort to avoid the logical implications foreseen by Hawking, atheist physicist Lawrence Krauss published a book, A Universe from Nothing. In it, he attempted to explain how the universe might have come out of something that he describes as nothing. Some mistakenly understood Krauss's nothing to be absolutely nothing at all, when his nothing is actually something. So let's look at both options to see if either works as an explanation for the origin of the universe. There are at least three issues with Krauss's mathematical theory. First, Krauss makes it clear that his idea is speculative. This does not make his idea wrong or false, but it does disqualify it from being science, which must be testable, verifiable, or falsifiable. There have been a couple of articles in the science journal Nature that point this out, calling such ideas fantasy and a threat to the integrity of physics. In my first video in this science series, I mentioned that there are three major categories within modern science. Krauss's speculation are an example of the third category, which can be described as fantasy. A skilled writer can use imagination combined with words and rules of language to produce an excellent work of literary science fiction. In the same way, one can use mathematics instead of words to produce mathematical models that are fascinating works of mathematical science fiction. This occurs whenever at least one key component of a mathematical model does not correspond to anything in reality. Unfortunately, some areas of modern science, especially cosmology, fail to distinguish between fictional mathematical models and reality, and most people in our culture are unaware of this. Second problem is that Krauss states that his version of nothing is unstable. But in quantum mechanics, in order to have instability or a change in the state of a system, there must be a time variable somewhere in the equation so that a change in the state of a system is possible. One can call it something else, but whatever one calls it, it is simply time by another name. As quantum cosmologist Don Page puts it, without time and time evolution, it also appears to be an oxymoron to say that nothing is unstable. Time is not nothing. It is an essential component of nature, as Einstein's general theory of relativity demonstrates. If you have time, you have nature. If you have nature, you have time. What we really want to know is what caused time and nature in the first place. The third problem with Krauss's theory is, as Page also points out, the laws of physics, both the dynamical laws and the quantum state, are here being implicitly assumed to exist, and it certainly seems unfair to dismiss them as nothing. In an interview with Steve Paikin, Krauss suggested that maybe the laws of physics sprang into existence with the universe. Perhaps it was a slip of the tongue that so easily happens in an interview, but what he suggested is a logical impossibility. Just as it is logically impossible for a woman to give birth to herself, in the same way, it is logically impossible for a speculative theory that depends upon certain laws of quantum mechanics to itself bring those required laws into existence so that it can then work. The bottom line is that Krauss's nothing still requires the existence of laws of physics and of time, essential components of nature. It fails, therefore, to provide a rational explanation for how time and the laws of physics came into existence in the first place. Don Page closes his review of Krauss's book by stating, "To me, as a fellow scientist, it appears Krauss has instead swung far wide of the goal, striking only the air with his philosophical speculations that do not address the truly deep questions of existence." So could absolutely nothing at all have caused the universe? At the close of a lecture I gave to a university audience, a student, upon seeing the logical implications of the beginning of nature for the existence of a non-natural supernatural reality, suggested that maybe absolutely nothing at all did it. I marvel at how some people so badly want to avoid the existence of God that they feel compelled to appeal to the absolutely nothing at all explanation. To clarify, they are suggesting that there was absolutely nothing at all, and then poof, the universe just popped into existence. Let's think about this for a minute. We don't need to be scientists to see at least two serious problems with this suggestion. First of all, it is irrational. To clarify, a rational conclusion is supported by some sort of explanation, some premises upon which the conclusion can be inferred. Absolutely nothing means there are no premises, rendering a rational explanation or a rational conclusion impossible. Second, an even larger problem is that absolutely nothing has no causal powers. Absolutely nothing cannot do anything at all. It is the total and complete absence of potentiality. It's the absence of the axioms of mathematics and logic and of causal abilities. To say nothing can cause something means that we are no longer talking about absolutely nothing at all, but of something that has causal powers. So here's my point. Absolutely nothing completely fails rationally and philosophically as an explanation for the origin of nature. It is more rational to propose that there is something out there that can make stuff happen, including producing a universe that is incredibly fine-tuned to support life. So to summarize, we know that nature had a beginning. There are only two logical possibilities: either something natural or something not natural, i.e. supernatural, brought nature into existence. There's no third option. But just as a woman cannot give birth to herself, so it is logically impossible for nature to have given birth to itself. When we only have two possible options, and one of the options is logically impossible, then the other option, no matter how much one may not like it, is necessarily true. The origin of the universe, in other words, nature and physical reality, logically requires a supernatural cause and foundation. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video, or at least found it thought-provoking. And if you did, please share it, or you can leave a comment in the section below. And also, don't forget to hit the like button.